Okay, Zillow has dropped its latest news, and this is really, really interesting because we're seeing a lot of different conflicting metrics in the housing market since the last month's figures and facts have been reported this month, right? So we know that Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve Board are pumping the brakes on a interest rate hike this time around. He says it's just temporarily though, just a temporarily break check, if you will, and it might go back later. But he's saying that he's kind of seeing the bottom of the housing market. Now, he didn't say which bottom and in what industry or with sales or with buyers or with prices or anything else like that. But they did say that they are potentially stopping it for right now, which is good news. And we started to see some people increase mortgage applications, etc., because of that. So this is the latest article that just came out today, and this is really something to look at because there's 4 or 5 other kind of supporting pieces of documents that we might touch on in a second that all kind of say the same thing. So May housing starts surge amid inventory shortage. So as we know, the kind of story for a very long time is there's been inventory shortage, which means not enough homes for enough buyers. That being said, that's kind of kept the housing market relatively healthy, even though that we've seen this increased interest rates, way less buyers, or at least buyers getting priced out even more so of the market, but there's still an inventory shortage. So housing starts and permits soared in May, with housing starts at the highest level seen in over a year. So here's some of the main things that we got to take away from this. An increase to 1.6 million in May, up 21% from a revised April 2023 figures, means they got it wrong, of 5.7%. So single family housing starts increased to just under 1 million. Housing permits issued were up 5.2% and down 12.7% from a year ago. And then 1.52 million homes were completed in May, up 9.5%. So I'm going to tell you what all this means in a second. But it basically means that the permitting process has soared in May, with housing at the highest levels in over a year. And the home builders are responding to an increase in home sales and new home sales and an extremely low level of existing inventory, which means they're bullish, right? And if they're really excited and bullish on this housing market, they're going to keep spending money in the housing market. They're going to keep building. They're going to keep doing construction and pulling those permits. So this is an indicator that they are happy and excited about where the market is at in general. Now, a lot of people track these metrics for home builders because they make up such a significant portion of the housing market themselves. So they look at builder sentiment. If you see some other videos and see some other economic things, they ask about builder sentiment and talk about builder sentiment. And it was pretty low when we looked last time. When we had the last numbers, builder sentiment was pretty low. This one will probably correspond with higher builder sentiment because they're pulling permits, which means they are starting projects, they are doing projects, they're building projects. So low inventory, this is what Zillow senior economist thinks. Low inventory of existing homes available for sale has pushed many buyers who can afford to stay shopping to look towards new construction, and home builders are taking notice. With incentives sweetening the deals for buyers, new home sales have been rising amid falling existing home sales. Rising home builder confidence from the lows seen the last year, and with this bump in demand for new homes, permits or starts are back in positive, soaring past April numbers, right? With new home completions up as well, which means they're finishing a lot of things, a steady flow of new homes are making their way onto the market, which is going to be good, right? Because even though we have a high price to buy a new home, having more homes on the market is going to give us a lessening of the ability to not be able to transact, right? We're going to get a lot of people that are able to buy a home, which means we won't have such an imbalance in the housing market. We can see right here that we're also having a U.S. start surge in the 13-month high, right? So this is basically saying the exact same thing. But once again, pretty good news for the overall housing market, because Zillow coming in strong with this is going to also just let the entire housing market know that this is changing, things are happening, and with this pump in the interest rates, it's, I think, going to be really great. We have two more kind of important things to talk about, but before we do, go ahead and you can shoot me an email if you want to do any kind of real estate coaching. I've flipped over 100 homes and sold about 200 in my whole career. And so if you're looking for any kind of a consultation, thoughts, general coaching, reach out to me. We can do something for that. Worked with a lot of people before. They've gotten great value from it. And it basically is just a fun way for me to stay up to date in the real estate market based off of what people are actually doing in the real estate market. So I do like to chat with other people, and I do like the coaching process with that. So if you have any questions, even with buying and selling real estate, I've worked as a real estate coach too for people that are outside of kind of my MLS, and that's been really, really great. So they surveyed the National Association of Home Builders and the Wells Fargo Housing Market Index in June, rose above the midpoint mark of 50 for the first time since July 2022, as a dearth of previously owned homes supported new construction. The index has rebounded 77% since then. As we know, the 30-year fixed mortgage rate has come down somewhat from last November's high of 7%, but it's still 6.77%. But basically, homes are going to be more expensive, but people are still needing to buy things and needing to buy homes, and they're still pumping out and building. So we'll probably get into these in the future videos, but we'll see you later.